What's up, my wizards? It's Deb from SBMTG on the YouTube.com. We like magic. We are fresh off of Pro Tour Eldritch Moon, and with Wizards set to unveil Kaladesh in just 2 weeks at the World Championships, they're going to give us a lot of information on that day. I figured now would be a good time to go ahead and give you some of my predictions for what's going to happen in this set. Hey, also been doing a lot of deck techs lately, and I wanted to sort of add some variety, but don't worry, I know you guys like deck techs. The next thing we're doing is we're going to take a look at this blue-black zombies that was doing a lot of work at the Pro Tour. So stay tuned for that next, but for now, 5 predictions for Kaladesh by AB. Number 1 prediction here is what I think is probably going to be like a shoe-in, like guaranteed thing. And they're actually, the first few are going to be what I think are like relatively surefire speculation, and then they're going to get crazier and crazier as we go on. So bear with me here. But number 1 I think is a pretty easy one, and that is a moderate to heavy artifact theme. According to Chandra's origin story, there are a ton of automatons, stopters, and devices all over Kaladesh. And, they also say that artifacts are built for beauty as well as function and stuff, so artifice is very important on Kaladesh. We're going to see a lot of artifacts. That is pretty much a guarantee. I mean, 2 of the set's stated themes are invention and ingenuity, and Chandra's parents were artificers. There's just a lot of support for this quote-unquote theory. I think it's pretty much set in stone at this point. We're going to see a lot of artifacts, which is fine. There's lots of reasons I want artifacts in this format right now. Not the least of which is Delirium, which I know is already pretty good. Had a pretty good showing at the Pro Tour. But I think that certain artifacts, something cheap, maybe that sacrifices for a good effect would be really nice with Delirium. Like even Welding Jar would be fine. And artifacts being a sub-theme also has some relevance to Affinity in Modern, so there's that too. So who knows what we're going to see, but there's definitely going to be some artifacts. We're just not really sure of the function of them. Number 2, I also think is almost a shoe-in, obviously not as much as the artifact theory, but this one I think we're probably going to get. This is that colorless mana is still a thing, that weird colorless mana symbol. Wizards has stated that they'll keep using that colorless mana symbol in the future. And with all the artifacts, I think that's a given, that we're going to see artifacts. With all these artifacts, it's entirely possible that we may see a shift in the use of this mana symbol from Eldrazi, which hopefully we won't see for a while. Wizards, just don't do it for another few years. It'll be awesome. Focus is shifted into artifacts. I mean, it's a pretty easy transition, and it's a cool way to make colorless mana still count. I mean, I kind of like it, and I'd like it more if it weren't associated with Eldrazi, I think, to be honest with you. And it'd also be nice, I know Pain lands are leaving the format, so a lot of people might be like, well, we want to have as many colorless mana sources. You might be right, but I envision it's entirely possible, and this is slightly wild speculation, but we didn't get any lands in Eldritch Moon, so we're probably going to get some new lands in the big base set of Kaladesh. That's just probably going to happen. Whether they're sweet dual lands or not, I don't know, but there's a couple of things that could happen. We could either get lands that tap for either colorless or one color. That's possible, and they just come into play untapped like a regular land. That could be a thing. Or we could see sort of a new tri-land, something that produces 2 regular mana, 1 guild, black, white, whatever. And then also produces colorless mana, but that comes into play tapped. That's also a possibility that I think has some design space or design merit. So don't be surprised to see either of those things, because I think colorless mana is probably going to still be around. Number 3 prediction here is that blue and red will be very good colors in this set. I was painting with a broad brush. I have reasons for believing this, though. The first one's going to sound disconnected, but it's not. I'll bring it around. First of all these devices and automatons and blah blahs and stuff on Kaladesh are powered by a thing called aire, or aether, depending on how you say it. And blue mages typically wield aether, and if aether's a big, flavor thing in the set, then there will be cards. Guaranteed. And this was kind of a quiet announcement by Wizards a few months ago, and this, or actually not even that long ago, but this sort of is some evidence for the case that aether will be heavily featured in the set. They have announced that they will switch from using this symbol, like an A going into an E and it's all one letter, that symbol. They'll switch to just saying A and E to spell aether. So it'll be like A-E-T-H-E-R instead of just like this symbol and then T-H-E-R. And the reason they did that is for translation issues. There are a lot of translation issues translating the A and the E symbol. And if they just switched it so that there will be less translation issues, that pretty much means it's guaranteed they're going to be printing the word aether on cards. So look for that. And aether is traditionally, this is where I bring it around, a blue mage-y kind of thing. Blue mages wield aether. And red, blue mages also, artifice is very important to them. I mean, you got a set full of artifacts. Blue is probably going to feature somewhat prominently, and that's also why red might be a thing. Artifice is usually a thing in the color red. And on this plane, first of all, it's just Chandra's home plane. Let's get that out of the way. Chandra's home plane, she's the Fire Planeswalker, probably going to be some good red cards. Now, on the plane, at least in the flavor of the set, red, the fire magic is strictly banned. Strictly banned by punishment of death. But it wouldn't surprise me the way Wizards does things if there's some sort of secret sect of fire magic users that does cool stuff. And again, Chandra's coming back, almost guaranteed, and probably with the Gatewatch, so we're going to see some cool Chandra stuff. There's going to be good red cards, and probably what I hope is the best evidence, and it is a little circumstantial. But blue and red have been maligned as like the worst colors in the format for a while. White and green have been the best colors, and black's sort of been in the middle. But blue and red have noticeably, especially red, been just kind of bad colors that people make fun of for like the last year or more, really. So I think it's just about time for sort of changing the guard here and for blue and red to come back to form. Now, conversely, my number 4 prediction is that green will not be good at all, Green, or it could, it could have some decent cards, but just not be a very high power color overall in Kaladesh for a couple of reasons. Like, first of all, this is again the inverse of why I think blue and red might be good. Just one of the reasons is that they've been bad for so long. Green's been so good for so long with things like Collected Company, Sylvan Advocate, Duskwatch Recruiter, and only one of those cards rotates. The other two are still very powerful and will remain standard staples as long as they're playable. Legally. So I think that green has had a bit of enough for now, and one of the reasons that I think that could be is because I just don't, and again, we don't know much about this this plane or this set, but I just don't right now see a whole lot of design space for green outside of maybe sideboard staples and such that destroy artifacts. That's a possibility. Maybe we'll see oxidizing it. I don't know. But I'm just not seeing a ton of design space right now. Of course, we need to see a lot more of this set before we make crazy judgments like that. But green has just been on top for so long at this point that I think that blue and red will take the mantle. And maybe they'll let green just have a couple of decent cards. As far as white goes, by the way, the other great color in Standard, I think that there is some design space. Apparently the entire plane is ruled by the consuls. See, consul's lieutenant, a militaristic governing body, basically. So there is some design space for white in this set. And black, by the way, this is a pretty interesting thing. A Reddit user, and I'll link to this in the description of the video, along with a bunch of the other information I'm talking about here. That I've cited so far. But a Reddit user has translated a bunch of stuff because apparently a lot of the things that they're using in this set, and a lot of things like Chandra, for instance, translates directly into a couple of different Southeast Asian languages, and the set appears to be inspired by Southeast Asian and Indian, design themes. So, in aesthetics and stuff like that. So, it's pretty interesting that some of these terms translate directly into Southeast Asian languages. Chandra means illustrious. That's pretty, that makes sense, right? Girapur means like Gear City, Ring City. It also could mean Ring City or Gear City, so there's that. That's pretty obvious too. But one of the coolest things, one of the coolest translations is that Kaladesh translates directly into Black Home. That's pretty neat. Will black feature more in the set than we think it might, or is it just like a weird thing that doesn't really translate? That's yet to be said, but again, I told you that as we go on, it's going to be wild speculation here. But at the same time, my original speculation, number 4, I'll stick with. I think green will probably get, sort of a bump downwards. And number 5, right here. So far, a lot of this has been what I consider safe, quote-unquote, speculation, except for a couple things, like the colorless producing lands might be, wild speculation. Same thing with the Kaladesh translating to Black Home, so maybe black will be an important color. That's fairly wild, but most of this has been what I consider fairly safe speculation. So I'm going to swing for the fences on number 5 here and talk about 3 planeswalkers that I think we might see returning. And I'm kind of going to talk about them in the order that I think they have a chance of returning, the most likely first and then the craziest one last. So the one that I think is I guess, most likely to return as far as these 3 that I'm going to talk about is Garruk, or Garruk, if you want to make that horrible noise with your throat. Cats. Garruk has beef with Liliana, and he's had it for a while, and people have been for bye, I just can't keep him up here. Anyway, but he's had beef with Liliana for a while, and players keep asking, where's Garruk? Where is this stupid guy? And he hasn't been in a bunch of sets in a row. So it's just kind of about time, and I've already said I think green might be kind of bad in this set, so this, printing a Garruk in this set would give green players a reason not to cry foul. So there's that too. Alright, I told you, it's going to get slightly crazier as it goes on here, but the number 2 Planeswalker I think might come back here is possibly Tezzeret. All the artifacts make it a total possibility. And don't forget, where Tezzeret's supposed to be right now, he's supposed to be in Phyrexia. So, like, we got this whole translation into Black Home thing going on. We got the association with artifacts that Phyrexians have, and Tezzeret is there. So, Phyrexians. It's probably not the Phyrexians, to be honest with you. But people have been also saying, just like Garrick, people have been saying, like, where are the Phyrexians? They need to come back. We like Phyrexians. And like a couple of people, like literally 2 people, when Eldritch Moon came out, we're speculating that not Merit Lage, not Imrikul, like it might be the Phyrexians, or, you know, maybe. And people love Phyrexians, so it's cool. But I don't think that it's going to happen. But it'd be cool, you know, I'm going to talk about this when I talk about the last Planeswalker I think might return. I'm going to touch on it briefly here. The Gatewatch, which is probably going to be in this set, unless it's some sort of back-in-time thing, that's another theory, but I don't know that that has any credence. Anyway, if the Gatewatch are in this set, they probably are. What they need at this point, and by the way, spoilers if you don't know what happens at the very end of Eldritch Moon, spoilers, I'll put that article also in the description, so read that if you have any interest. Spoilers. But anyway, what the Gatewatch needs is a strong enemy that they can actually defeat, because Imrikul decided, you know, she elected to let herself be put into the moon. And it sounds so stupid out of context, but still, she elected to let that happen. The Gatewatch did not technically defeat Emrakul, so there's sort of a loophole there. But the Gatewatch needs a strong enemy and a recognizable enemy, I think that's important, that they can actually defeat as a unit. Phyrexians would be a pretty good enemy. You know, recognizable, strong enemy, but possible to defeat, I would say. So I think that the pieces are sort of set to where they could come back, and their leader, or at least part of their squad, which is probably going to be Tezzeret, because artifacts and blue, blah, blah, blah. So a tenuous connection in a way, but I told you it was going to get crazy as we go on. So let me give you the craziest now. So again, the Gatewatch needs a powerful enemy that they can realistically defeat. Emrakul is just, it's too much. Like, it's too godlike, literally godlike. So they need someone that they can realistically defeat. I think it could be Planeswalker number 3 that could return. A certain Grixis Planeswalker that we haven't seen in a while, Lord Bolas. Totally possible. Now, Nicol Bolas also has beef with Liliana. It's time for Nicol to come back too. Every freaking set that comes out, there are a bunch of people in comments on MTG Salvation, Myth Explorer, and all over the internet, Reddit, you know, they're just like, this is the one, Nicol Bolas is coming back. And he never does, and everybody loves Nicol Bolas, including me. So I seriously hope this is the time, because, you know, Liliana, she has the beef with Nicol. She has referred to the Gatewatch towards the end of the story there a couple of times as my very own Gatewatch. Like, she's made it very clear that she's going to manipulate them to her own ends to get them to do what she needs done. And she needs the Chain Veil destroyed. And she has alluded to it a couple times that Nicol is sort of the key to doing that. So we'll see if that features in. I'm not sure if that's actually technically wild speculation or not. I think that might actually sort of be sound speculation, but we'll have to wait and see. That's obviously swinging for the fences, so we'll see. I hope it's Nicol Bolas, like a lot, fingers crossed. End pure, ridiculous, crazy speculation that's completely hypothetical, and you just let me know how you feel about it in the comments. But there is some solid stuff in there that's almost certainly going to happen. I just, you know, you do one of these videos, you want to at least do a couple of crazy ones, right? Because if they do happen, you're a genius. If they don't happen, they were crazy. But that's all for these theories today. Let me know how you felt about all this crazy speculation down there in the comments section, or give me your own theories on what we might see or what might happen in this set right here. And I'm always really interested in that too. So let me know how you feel about all this. Give me your own theories, and remember that Blue-Black Zombies is coming up next, and everybody loves zombies. So stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed this content, just hit the like button. That's all I ask you to do. You can also subscribe, you know, do all the things if you want to. That'd be awesome. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm Deb from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.